What we're going to talk about today is not your typical inspiration speech. We're going to talk about something that all of us can relate to. And it's about loss and how you move from loss into acceptance and all the stages we go through during that process. And now when I talk about loss, I hope those of you in the audience today who are not disabled don't think that you can't be included. Because when I speak about loss, I'm also talking about loss of a child, loss of a job. It could be a divorce. It could be that you are no longer the person you were because of age. It could be anything. So really when we talk about loss and moving through the stages, we're talking about the journey that we all can relate to, that we all are going through. Sometimes when you live in a different body, and we call it a disability, and like again, any type of loss, we feel that our lives are never going to be the same. That just because it's different, i.e. the pottery being broken, that it's no longer going to be as beautiful or as functional. But what we're finding, and I have found in my life, and I know a lot of the people here today have experienced the same thing, is our lives can actually be more full than they were before. We can actually have more abundance and more joy. And I hear this a lot from people who have a disability. They say, you know what? Ever since I became disabled, I became a different person. I see things differently now. My life has improved. I was on a road that wasn't so positive, and now I changed. My whole perspective has changed. We put so much time and energy in trying to pretend like everything's the same as it was, right? And that, you know, we are not weaker than everybody else. I remember when I used to have to transfer myself into my car, I would never let anybody watch me because I was weaker during that moment. Don't watch me transfer because I look funny. So that's the very first step, right? Is overcoming that. What am I going to choose to focus on today? Am I going to choose to focus on the fact that I can no longer walk on the beach? Or am I going to focus on the fact that I can walk on the boardwalk, sit and have a drink and listen to the band, right? Are we going to choose to focus on the fact that I no longer have the huge house and I can have these giant parties and I'm no longer married, or whatever the loss that you feel may be? Or I'm going to realize the fact, hey, I can live the singles life downtown in a great condo and I can travel all over the world. There's 100 things that you can do to every one that you can't. So when you focus only on the things that you can't do, it causes depression. It causes us to go within ourselves, and it causes us to feel low self-esteem, right? When you're always focused on that. So you really have to start focusing on how to do things differently and how we can still shine even though we're different and even though things have changed for us so dramatically. But the answer to that really is you have to choose first to move on. So, and if you don't choose that, and it's not like everybody does, there's a lot of men that I've talked to in my lifetime who have been hurt by women and who no longer want to date. Women too, I never want to date a man again. I've been married and I don't want to ever touch that again. Or I am now hurt, I don't want to leave my house. Or I lost my money and I no longer want to move on. I don't feel like I can live anymore. You have to choose first to live. And that's something that I had to do, right, at a very young age. I don't know if anybody knows my story, but I was injured at 18. My life changed dramatically when I was 18. I was a dancer, I was working full time, I was traveling, I had all these plans that I was going to do. But here's the problem. Let's say we go through all these steps. We accept ourselves, we turn our channel, we decide to live, we do everything right, we're going to be focused, we're going to be positive, and then everybody in society is uncomfortable with us everywhere we go, right? So you're newly injured, you're getting out there, and everywhere you go, people say, oh man, that sucks. Or, I'm sure, Jessica, you've heard this, right? I would never be able to live if that had happened to me. We hear that all the time. It's kind of depressing, right? So really we need to change that. We need to change the aversion that people have to people with disabilities. And that's again why I started my company. Disability is not commonplace. When you open magazines, you don't see it. When you turn on the commercials, you don't see it, right? A lot of times in the workplace, you don't see people with disabilities. You're not used to them. So if we make it more commonplace and everybody's just used to seeing it, everybody's going to be a lot more comfortable. Employers are going to be more likely to hire us. People are going to be more likely to date us. And we're certainly going to be more likely to go out in public because we're not going to be embarrassed all the time and be, frustrated by all the feedback that we constantly get from people. So the goal is a picture is worth 1,000 words. We believe that an image can change perception, and it's not just a perception of those of us here in the United States, because we've got the ADA since 1991. We're really getting there. We're talking about perception of people all around the world. If they start seeing people like us in magazines, on TV, and in movies, they're going to be like, wow, maybe we should make some changes where we are. Because if you live in India right now, there is no access. You can't get out of your house. So my mission is way bigger than just getting in magazines. And it's not about me and on my models. It's bigger than that. It's global. We want people all around the world to see that people with disabilities are beautiful, they have something to offer, and that they should include them. Now, one of the things that we can do, and I have to warn you about, and everybody knows this, whether you're a woman and you're trying to get through the glass ceiling, or you're a person with a disability, or even if you're poor, having all these issues to get through makes us stronger, right? We're stronger, we're more resilient, just like that pottery. That pottery, now that it's broken and put back together with the glue, is stronger now. It's amazing, if you drop the same thing, it won't break. Now that it has the resin, it has a foundation of support. So when you go through loss, you do become stronger. One of the things is a really good illustration of this, and how you can connect with people and understand, is that imagine yourself and something that you personally have gone through in your life that's a tragedy. When you see people like me, you see the tragedy right away, right? Right when we walk in, you're like, oh, look what happened to her, something bad, right? I could have been born this way, I could have lived this way my whole life, but you see it. Most of us carry these scars inside. And when we carry these scars inside, they're hidden from everybody. Nobody sees them, right? But you know they're there. You might be having a day because of your scars, a bad day, but we don't know. When you see me having a bad day, you probably go, yeah, she's having a bad day because she's in a wheelchair. So imagine for a moment if you had to carry around your greatest tragedy, whatever it is, and every time you walked into a room or got on an elevator or were going on a date or just going to the bathroom, somebody saw that. And the first thing they did when they looked at you was like, oh, I'm sorry. That really sucks. I feel bad for you. If you have to overcome that every single time you meet someone, that's a burden, right? That's a heavy weight to carry. We want you to talk to us and say, oh, you're a mother too. Not like, oh, you're a mother? That's so great that you can have children and you're disabled. Wow. That's called inspiration porn, and we'll talk about that in a second. But hey, I'm a mother too, so we relate to people as human beings, you know, not based on what you see the first time. So when's the last time you saw somebody with a disability on Dr. Phil or the doctors or any news show that wasn't talking about the tragedy of their disability, or wasn't talking about the fact that they ran a marathon or something inspirational, right? Why can't they just be the doctor on Dr. Phil? Why can't they be the girl who's getting married and not the paralyzed bride? Oh my God, she's getting married. Let's, you know, literally they will just, it'll be on every single news cover because the girl who's paralyzed got married. And of course the guy's always the same, right? You're such a good guy. You can find me at pushliving.com.